Hi friends, very good morning to all of you and welcome to my educational academy. Right friends, in this session we are going to study the third chapter of the 8th class NCERT Polity book. Friends, the third chapter is why do we need a parliament? Right friends, here is some information about the parliament and why we need a parliament. Please go through it. Right friends, we know that the parliament is formed by the representatives of the people, and the people decide who should be their representative through the elections. I mean, they elect their representatives. Right friends, why should people decide, and why it should be left to only some people? Why every citizen of India should get to decide who their representative should be? Right friends, in India, as we know, India, as we know, became independent on 15th August 1947. So we became independent on 15th August 1947. Friends, preceding this was a long and difficult struggle in which many sections of the society participated. So many sections of the society participated in the freedom struggle. Friends, people from various backgrounds joined the struggle, and they were inspired by the ideals of freedom, equality, and participation in decision making. Friends, under the colonial rule, the people had lived in fear of the British government and did not agree with many of the decisions that they took. The British government took many. We did not agree with many of those decisions, friends, but they faced a grave danger if they tried to criticize these decisions. So there was no freedom to criticize the decisions, and in fact the decisions have been forcefully imposed on the Indian people. Friends, the freedom movement changed this situation. The nationalists began to openly criticize the British government and make demands. Friends, as far as back in 1885, the Indian National Congress demanded that there be elected members in the legislature with the right to discuss the budget and ask questions. Right friends, the Government of India Act of 1909 allowed for some elected representation. Friends, while these early legislatures and under the British government were in response to the growing demands of the nationalists, they did not allow for all adults to vote. Excuse me. Uh, Nor could people participate in the decision making. So friends, while some form of representation is included from 1909, but not each and every person was allowed to take part in the process. Right friends, the experience of the colonial rule as well as the participation of different people in the struggle for freedom left little doubt in the minds of the nationalists that all persons in independent India would be able to participate in making decisions. So people have gained experience, and now in free India they are ready to participate in the decision making process. Friends, with the coming of independence, we were going to be citizens of a free country, and this did not mean that the government could do what it felt like. It meant that the government had to be sensitive to people's needs and demands. So in a free country, the government does not have the right to do whatever it feels fit, but in fact it should reflect and it should work in the interests of the people's needs and demands. Friends, the dreams and aspirations of the freedom struggle were made concrete in the Constitution of Independent India that laid down the principle of universal adult franchise, i.e., that all adult citizens of the country have the right to vote. So the Constitution of India gave each and every citizen of India to right to vote if they are above certain age. At present it is 18 years and above. Right friends, people and their representatives. Now we will understand this concept. Friends, the take-off point for a democracy is the idea of consent, i.e. the desire, approval and participation of people. So this is the take-off point for a democracy. Friends, it is the decision of the people that creates a democratic government and decides about its functioning. So the main element of democracy is people's participation and their decision about the functioning of the government. Friends, the basic idea in this kind of democracy is that the individual or the citizen is most important person, and that in principle the government as well as other public institutions need to have the trust of these citizens. So friends, the individual or the individual citizen is the kingpin of democracy, and the government as well as other organs should have the consent of the citizen to do their work. Right friends, how does the individual give approval to the government? And this question can be answered, and one way of doing so, friends, is through elections. So through elections, the individual gives his consent to the government. Friends, people would elect their representatives to the parliament. Then one group of among these elected representatives form the government. So people will elect the representatives, those are MPs and MLAs, and a small group from these legislators or representatives form the government. Friends, the parliament, which is made up of all the representatives together, controls and guides the government. Friends, in this sense, people through their chosen representatives form the government and also control it. So the representatives who are elected by the people, they form the government and as well as they also control the government. Right friends, now we will understand the role of the parliament in our governance process. Right friends, created after 1947, the Indian Parliament is an expression of the faith that the people of India have in principles of democracy. Right friends, these are participation by people in the decision making process and government by consent. Right friends, the parliament in our system has immense powers because it is the representative of the people. So parliament has enormous powers because it is the main body of the representatives of the people. Right friends, elections to the parliament are held in a similar manner as they are for the state legislature. Friends, the Lok Sabha is usually elected once in every 5 years, and the country is divided into numerous constituencies. Friends, each of these constituencies elects one person to the parliament. Friends, the candidates who contest elections usually belong to different parties. Friends, generally this is the process of electing representatives in our country. Right friends, once these members are elected, these candidates become members of parliament or MPs. Friends, these MPs together make up the parliament. Once elections to the parliament have been taken place, the parliament needs to perform the following functions. Right friends, the first function is to select the national government. So the first function of the parliament is to select a national government. Right friends, Parliament of India consists of the President, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. So the Parliament constitutes the President, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Friends, after the Lok Sabha elections, a list is prepared showing how many MPs belong to each political party. Friends, for a political party to form the government, they must have a majority of elected MPs. Friends, since there are 543 elected members in Lok Sabha, and friends, now the two Anglo-Indians, these two Anglo-Indians used to be nominated to the Lok Sabha, and now it has been done away with. So there are 543 elected members in the Lok Sabha. To have a majority, a party should have at least half of the number, that is 272 members or more. Friends, the opposition in the parliament is formed by all the political parties that oppose the majority party or coalition, parties of coalition that is formed. Right, friends? Similarly, the largest among these parties is called the opposition party. Right, friends, now the BJP is the ruling party and it has a coalition with some like-minded parties, and the Indian National Congress Congress party is the opposition party because it has the second highest number of members of parliament, and it is the main opposition party. Right, friends, one of the most important functions of Lok Sabha is to select the executive. Friends, the executive, as you read, we read in chapter 1, is a group of persons who work together to implement the laws made by the parliament. Right, friends, this executive is often what we have in mind when we use the term government. So now we have a government headed by the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and there is a whole group of the Council of Ministers. So the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister is generally called as the executive, and specifically called as executive, and generally it is called as government. Right, friends, the Prime Minister of India is the leader of the ruling party in the Lok Sabha. So the Prime Minister is also the leader of the ruling party in Lok Sabha. Right, friends, from the MPs who belong to her party or his party, the Prime Minister selects ministers to work with his or her to implement decisions. Friends, these ministers then take charge of different areas of the government functioning like health, education, finance, etc. So we have Minister for Finance, Minister for Health, Minister for Education, etc. Right, friends? Often times in the recent past, it has been difficult for a single political party to get the majority that is required to form the government. Friends, they then join together with the different political parties who are interested in similar concerns to form what is known as coalition government. Friends, just the two general elections before, there was an era of coalition government. No party was able to gain the majority in the Lok Sabha. So because of that, there were coalition governments. For the last two terms, the Bharatiya Janata Party was able to get the majority required, and it is forming the governments without any coalition. Right, friends, the Rajya Sabha functions primarily as the representative of the states of India in the parliament. So the Rajya Sabha is the representative of the states, and it represents the interest of the states in the parliament at the national level. Friends, the Rajya Sabha can also initiate legislation, and a bill is required to pass through Rajya Sabha in order to become a law. Friends, it therefore has an important role of reviving and altering the laws initiated by the Lok Sabha. So it has an important role in reviewing and giving suggestions the laws initiated by the Lok Sabha. Friends, the members of the Rajya Sabha are elected by the elected members of the legislative assemblies of various states. Right friends, in Rajya Sabha there are 233 elected members plus 12 members nominated by the president. Right friends, the second function of the legislature the parliament is to control, guide and inform the government. This is the second function of the parliament. Friends, the parliament while in session begins with a question hour, and the question hour is an important mechanism through which MPs can elicit information about working of the government. So by asking questions in the question hour, the MPs can elicit important information about the working of the government. Friends, this is a very important way through which the parliament controls the executive. Right friends, by asking questions, the government is alerted to its shortcomings and also comes to know the opinion of the people through their representatives in the parliament, i.e. the members of parliament. Right friends, asking questions of the government is a crucial task for every MP. Friends, the opposition parties play a critical role in the healthy functioning of a democracy. So we should not think that the opposition parties do not have any role in the functioning of a democracy. They have a healthy role in the functioning of the democracy. Right friends, they highlight drawbacks in various policies and programs of the government and mobilize popular support for their own policies. Right friends, the government gets valuable feedback and is kept on its toes by the questions asked by the MPs. Friends, in addition, in all matters dealing with finances, the parliament's approval is crucial for the government. So friends, for every financial matter, the government has to take the permission of the legislature or parliament. Right friends, this is one of the several ways in which the parliament controls, guides and informs the government. Friends, the MPs are representatives of the people, the MPs as representatives of the people have a central role in controlling, guiding and informing parliament, and this is a key aspect of the functioning of Indian democracy. Right friends, the third function of the parliament is lawmaking. Friends, lawmaking is a significant function of the parliament, and this function will be discussed in upcoming chapters. Right friends, now we will understand who are the people in parliament. Okay friends, parliament now has more and more people from different backgrounds. Friends, for example, there are more rural members as also members from many regional parties. Friends, groups and peoples that were till now unrepresented are beginning to get elected to parliament. So we can say this is a welcome change or a welcome development. Right friends, there has also been an increasing political participation from the Dalits and as well as the backward classes. Right friends, let us see the table below and understand the percentage of people participation who voted in different elections. Right friends, here you can see in the first general elections that is held in 1951 and 52, 61.16% of the people have participated. So here in the fifth general election there was a reduction. It is the lowest rate of participation, but as you can see in the recent 3 to 4 general elections, the people's participation in the general elections is gradually but steadily increasing. Right friends, it has been observed that representative democracy cannot produce a perfect reflection of the society. Right friends, there is a realization that when interests and experiences separate us, it is important to ensure that communities that have been historically marginalized are given adequate representation. Friends, with this in mind, some seats are reserved in Parliament for SCs and SCs. Friends, this has been done so that the MPs elected from these constituencies will be familiar with and can represent Dalit and Adivasi interests in Parliament. So some seats have been reserved for SC and ST candidates so that when they go to Parliament, they represent these groups of people, both scheduled castes and as well as Adivasis. Right, friends? Similarly, it has more recently been suggested that there should be reservation of seats for women. So there is a I mean there is an opinion that women should also have representation in the Parliament, especially in the Lok Sabha. Friends, this issue is still being debated. Friends, 60 years ago, only 4% of the MPs were women, and today it is just above 11%. Friends, in the latest elections, that is 17th elections to Lok Sabha, the percentage of women members has been increased to 14%, but it is very less. Right, friends? This is a small share when we consider the fact that half of the population are women. So when we see 50% of our people are women, but in Parliament, in legislature, their representation is varying 11%, 12%, and in the latest Lok Sabha elections, the representation is only 14%. Friends, it is issues of this kind that force the country to ask certain difficult and often unresolved questions about whether our democratic system is representative enough. So often it comes to our mind that whether our democratic system is really representative enough. Friends, the fact that we can ask these questions and are working towards answers is a reflection of the strength and the faith that people in India have in a democratic form of government. So, in fact, we are able to think that, and we are asking questions like this, and we are also working to solve these issues. So, friends, that is the beauty of the democratic system in India. Right, friends, this is all from this chapter. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day. See you next time.